your first priority or your allegiance would be with your family. So you have the white family and you have the black family. So the white guy wants to get that job, and maybe he may not be as qualified as the black guy or the African American, but the white guy's going to get the job.
Right.
I'd say about 80% of the time, unless this person is very serious about his job, his business, and he really knows that the other white guy is going to bring it down, then the table's a little turned, and that black guy might get the job if he's really qualified for it. But I'd say just at the top of the fence, let's say right at the top of your head, the guy's going to take the white guy.
Do you believe?
Without a doubt. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Do you believe that Obama, being the first Afro-American president, do you believe that he has made a real difference, and that something changed there when he became president that gave the Afro-Americans of the United States a lot more hope and a lot more chances? Or do you believe that it has been a disappointment?
Well, to say the least. Okay, I can only express how I felt when when I saw America's first African American president. Of course, being African American, I felt honored or proud or privileged. That we had reached a point in history that we could have our first actual African leader of one of the most powerful countries on the planet. Of course, I was excited. I was elated with the results and shocked, to be honest. But looking over his first year, and now he's about midway of his second year, not much has changed for African Americans in America. I think he brought a lot of, he made things became a lot of awareness for the African American. But far as a real leader to actually change the situation in America, I don't think there's been much difference, But then again, I haven't lived in America. I don't see all the good he may have done.
Right.
But generally speaking, I can only go by what's happening right now. The taste of the pudding is eating.
Right.
And from that first term, second term, where black Americans were, and even now, the situation, it doesn't seem to really made that big of a difference in the culture. African American.
Do you think that it has anything to do with being at the time of the end, and that many people are actually going away from the truth, or that because we're living in the time of the end? First of all, do you believe we are living in the time of the end? And what do you think? Do you think that has played a major role in the unrest and confusion that's happening right now in the United States?
Politically speaking,
Yes.
I don't believe it's because of the time in the end.
Okay.
That things have gotten worse. And the plight of the black man in America. Yeah. But I do believe that, I personally believe that we're living in the last days of man's world history.
Okay.
And I believe that things are drastically, life as we knew it or know it is going to change drastically. And that as far as the end time affecting, let's say, the black African American, I don't think that has that much to do with it. I know that there's going to be a lot of change, but I don't think that people knowing that our thinking that we might be living in the time of the end is making a difference in the plight of the African American.
So you have been living out of the United States for some time now. I mean, you go back and forth a lot, like we
Right.
have been going back and forth.
Right.
But what do you say? What do you think about the FEMA camps that are being set up right now in the United States? Like, I know you're following the events closely, the things that are happening, things a lot of people say. You are following all these things very closely. What would you say about something like that? And what do you think they are actually for?
Well, to be honest, my first time hearing the actual term FEMA was during the Katrina,
Oh, yes.
with the Katrina
That's
situation.
right, yes.
And I sat there with I remember we were together, and we were on CNN and watching the news, and we just basically saw 90% of the people in that, storm, or in the New Orleans situation, they were African Americans,
Right.
and we watched them in that dome,
Right.
suffering and all the things that were going on, all the rigmarole that was going on there.
Right.
And it just really shocked us. We saw the people who couldn't leave the city just stranded. They were virtually forsaken,
Right.
and we were just like shocked, and we felt really
That's true.
sad for them, and we felt really like, wow, why doesn't anybody do anything? I mean, super. We're always like we can fly goods here or in the world, or go send people there in the world. We can send troops here. We can send relief workers here in a 24-hour period.
Right.
But these guys sat in that dome for days and days and days, no food, no help, and I know it was quite a tragedy, but so when I heard of like FEMA, the FEMA did this and FEMA's going to do that, and I was like, wow, what's FEMA? And so looking over the news and of course the YouTube on YouTube and conspiracy theories and things like that, and now I mean looking at what is happening, that it's a little scary, to be honest. I'm a little eerie of them, and and now living in Europe and living in post World War, in a country where there were what you call, might say, death camps, and people herded in and
Exactly.
being retrained, or
Right.
it's kind of scary. I mean, to be honest, it's a little. Okay, it's not scary for me. I mean, I know I have a general idea in my heart, but I can imagine how people would feel seeing the things that happened during Katrina,
Right.
that FEMA didn't do very much.
Okay.
And like I'm kind of eerie, like why all of a sudden FEMA,
Right.
and of course I am influenced by a lot of the documents and articles and videos and things and theories and that are coming out about FEMA right now. So it's a little. I have a lot to say about it, but
Is it pretty shocking to you that these things are coming out, that they say they want to reduce the world population,
well,
and that they're actively trying to already, and have been trying already in the United States, by the water supply, the water and the different things that they have been doing that we were not aware of, but that suddenly these things are coming out in the open. Are you shocked about the plan of the elite of reducing the world population?
I mean, I know it's not a laughing matter, but it's shocking.
Right.
But the reason why it's shocking is like I always believed that we were living in the last days and that things would happen drastically, but to actually see it happening and that how how this globalization plan has come into effect.
What makes you think
It's
that?
like it's amazing.
What makes you think that? Because the average person usually doesn't read the Bible.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, we've been reading the Bible for many years. We've been, evangelists, missionaries. We've been teaching the Bible. What would you say to the average person who has maybe not understood the events that have been predicted in the Bible? What would you say to the person? What makes you think that we are living in the last days or in the end time? What makes you think that?
Well, a lot of the things that Jesus said are happening now.
Okay.
Now, when Jesus gave these predictions, let's say, I'm referring particular to Matthew 24.
Okay. Right.
You know, Matthew 24 is, I would say, the most,
Right.
it's the most general,
Right.
but very specific
Right.
about events that would happen before the return of Jesus Christ on the earth.
Right.
And so I've been talking and saying these things since the early 70s
Wow.
because of some of the in general a pastor that I studied under the Bible and a lot of people that shared the Bible with me. I've seen it happen. Let's say 1972 was when I
Okay.
did my first volunteer work as a missionary in the Caribbean.
Okay.
And so I've watched the world go from this point, geologically, politically, socially, economically, to where we are now today. And it's a big, drastic change.
Okay.
And the changes that I've seen are really, I say it reflects the prophecies and the things that I've read in the Bible.
Right.
You can see those things happening right before your very eyes, and it's really, it's amazing. For me, it's exciting. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm scared or freaked out about it, but I will say that it happens, or it's happening. It's being unfolded right before my eyes, and you can't. It's very hard to doubt or say these things aren't really happening because they're happening.
right.
You turn on the news, and every day you turn on the news, you look at this happen, this earthquake, and this war, or the Middle East situation, the economical situation is just amazing, and it just.
True.
It,
No, you're right.
It just,
it's really
it's
true.
just.
What would your advice be to your fellow Afro Americans right now that are really giving up their lives? Some people, they're getting killed. They're going out in the streets. They're protesting, and they don't have the guns that all the police force has and all the special forces that they're calling in. What would you say to them? I mean, they believe in what they do. They believe that they're fighting for something that's going to change their country. What advice would you give them? I mean, the young Afro-Americans there in that country, in the
Okay.
United States especially.
Well, I'm glad you said the young people because, if the young people really didn't go through the civil rights movement.
Right.
They didn't see the struggles. They didn't
Exactly.
experience the things that I went through when I was their age,
Right.
right? But because of books or videos or things, they get a general idea
Right.
of what the struggles that we went through as African Americans in the early 60s,
Right.
50s, 60s. But it was a different time. The world wasn't so controlled by, let's say, the elite with their agenda. It was the beginning of it. Like when Kennedy was assassinated. Like, as Kennedy came out, he said, "Look, I'm going." He was going to say, "I'm going to expose this shadow government and expose this and expose that." And boom, shortly after that, after that speech, we all know from history that he was assassinated.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And so things were changing then. It was exciting. It was like, whoa, there's going to be a difference in our country. We were going to move forward, and it was like, it was a very exciting time. But, okay, the people were different. They're very different than today. Our society, the generation today, is produced a very me
That's
society. And they didn't, we had I think almost black, white, whoever, really cared about each other in that particular time. We were united as a country. We, we'd gone to the moon together. I mean, I remember as a kid, I was so excited, like, we're going to the moon. It was like, we are the world. We are, it was just a real unifying time. We were all together as a nation. But as you know now, they've done a good job of dividing us all and kind of at each other's throat.
Right.
And it's that unity, that desire to help our society progress has been lost over the years. So I want to say, well, when you look at the videos and read the books of what we did in the 60s, the 50s and the 60s, it's a very different scenario now, because the people's heart in general is not the same as it was in the 50s and 60s.
That's true.
Or early 70s.
That's really true.
So the tactics and the things we did then, I don't see them working. Protests and all, what have you.
Do you believe they're
I don't see it really changing anything.
Do you believe they're using the same tactics as they did then, this time, too?
To a large extent.
Yeah.
Because everybody's looking back.
Right.
I believe that most of African Americans are looking back at Martin Luther King and
that's right.
and Rosa Parks and all these other things, and they want to do that. They feel it's going to bring change, but it's a very different scenario for this time in history, because we're different. It's very different, and it's very dangerous, I say, to try to do that. I see African Americans now in the same position as the Native Americans, the original Americans. And the Braves were out there, our people, and they fought the cavalry,
But they were
and they just got wiped. Then they got slaughtered.
Oh, man, that's really true.
And basically put in reservations, and whole nations were destroyed.
That's
Now, I've been a young person myself, and I know how to get out. I want to get out into it and fight and stuff. But look, this is what I'd like to say to the young African Americans. You don't have the firepower. You don't have the finances. You don't have the coordination. You don't have the organization to be able to, let's say, fight our government at this time. Because, I mean, from what I experienced as a kid even, I just believe that there could be that much change. And I don't think, because of the direction that the world is going now, the station, let's say the train station that we are now, we're about 2 stops from the end. In the 60s, we were like way. The train was like way back there, and there was a lot of stops. But pretty much we're almost at the station. And so all this, we're going to take it over, we're going to have a revolution, all that stuff. I mean, it's cool. And, seeing the Panthers and this and that and all these other guys. And when I was a kid, it was cool. But now it's a lot more serious about.
What would you say?
It's a very different scenario.
What would you do? What would you suggest? I mean, should they just give up the fight, or should they resort to something else?
Look, this is what I believe. Okay, I could be wrong. I really do believe this. Okay, I wouldn't say I can't be wrong because
Okay.
I just feel this is just going to happen.
Right.
I believe that the average person, let's say African American person,
Right.
okay, should zero in on their families,
Okay.
zero in on your kids,
Okay.
to try to teach them, to try to guide them, to try to help them, unite as a community to do as much as we can.
Right.
But far as changing a lot of the governmental structure that we have now, I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see a big change. I do see that. Look, you can do if you can get a job, if you are working, keep that job, work at that job, do the best you can, try to be the best citizen you possibly can be. But far as running out in the street with guns and we got to change, we got to have a better life for the African American and all this kind of stuff, I don't see it.
Okay. Do you believe that there are any role models out there that really are guiding the Afro-American young, especially, I mean, I'm saying young man, because it looks like they're almost without any guidance, without a shepherd, like they're sheep without a shepherd scattering all over the place, and they are very confused. Do you believe that there are role models that actually are helping these people, or do you think we should have more role models to be an example for the average Afro-American to guide and lead them during this difficult time or through this difficult time?
Look, everybody's following somebody.
Right.
Everybody's modeling themselves according to people that they look up to.
Right.
Parents, a friend, loved one, you know.
Yes.
But far as a spokesperson or a real dedicated leader, let's say a Martin Luther King type, I haven't seen it.
Interesting.
And a lot of the role models that's really being held up to the African American community as a sample
Right.
are very, it's kind of demeaning, some of these people.
Right.
Some are very nice.
Yeah.
They said they are trying to live as a good model to underlings, you know, people that they
Yeah.
feel that would follow them.
Yeah.
But there's an awful lot who are not.
I've seen actually on the internet that a lot of them are actually hyping up the Afro-American population, the people, to go and fight. They're actually getting them all angry by some
Yeah.
of those things, and they're even encouraging them to, die for what you believe.
Right.
You know, and I feel sorry for them because they are dying, and they are going to die, and there's more going to die. But what would you say? What I notice is that people are going away from Christianity. What would you say? What do you think is the reason that so many Afro-American people are going away from the churches? Do you think the churches have failed?
Okay, I can only get by me because what I went through.
Right.
I grew up in the church.
Okay.
Walking around so sad today. Things are really bad now, what can you say? It's just getting worse all the time, oh yeah. So many crazy things, it just blows your mind. Now let me tell you about it. I got a tip that'll help see you through. Listen to me, brother, here's what you gotta do. Gotta keep on smiling.